In this video, we're going to take a look at how you can try and recover data from a non-booting Windows computer. You would use this technique on a computer that you cannot power on but you suspect still contains personal data. For any data that has been stored on a hard drive that has been wiped, or stored on a hard drive that is faulty, that data can in some instances be recovered. However, the recovery process has to be done by professionals and will cost large sums of money. That is why we recommend that you regularly back up any data that is important to you. For this video, we will try and recover data from an old laptop that no longer has a power pack, and because the battery does not hold its charge, we are unable to start. As the owner wants to check that they don't have any important data on the computer before it's decommissioned, they have asked us to recover the contents of the hard drive. In order to recover any data that might be on the computer's hard drive, we will need a set of tools to remove the hard drive from the laptop, and a tools-free external USB hard drive enclosure that will allow us to review the contents of the hard drive on a secondary computer. Let's start by flipping the laptop over. We can see that this laptop has a series of icons to signify what can be accessed when this panel is removed. So using a screwdriver, we are going to remove the screws that hold the access panel in place. With the screws removed, before we try and access the panel, we need to make sure that no power is being supplied to the computer, which includes removing the laptop's battery. We can now carefully lift the access panel. With the access panel removed, we next need to locate the computer's RAM, hard drive, and the connector that links the hard drive to the motherboard. With this model of laptop, we should be able to lift out the hard drive from its bay and then disconnect it from the computer. As the hard drive uses a SATA connection, we will take this hard drive and place it into our USB enclosure. Before we can fit the hard drive into the USB enclosure, we need to first remove the rubber mounts that are used to protect and keep the hard drive fixed into position inside of the laptop. As this is a toolless hard drive enclosure, when we insert the hard drive, we need to make sure that we lock the drive into place. Let's now plug the USB enclosure into another computer and see if we can read the contents of the drive. When we mount the hard drive, you might see that two drives are displayed. This indicates that the hard drive we took from the non-working computer was partitioned to create two separate drives, a system drive and a Windows drive. This helps us as it indicates that we are looking at a drive with a newer version of Windows, in this case more than likely either Windows 7, 8 or 10. The system drive contains a number of elements: the boot configuration database, the boot manager code, the Windows recovery environment, and if you are using BitLocker, storage space for any startup files that may be encrypted. While we're on the subject of encryption, if you are trying to access data on an old hard drive that has been encrypted with software such as BitLocker, you will need the decryption key if you want to access any of the data on that drive. If BitLocker was used to encrypt the hard drive, you will have to ask the person who encrypted the drive for the decryption key. They should be able to recover the decryption key from their Microsoft account. Luckily, the hard drive in our example was not encrypted, so if we select the drive called Windows, we can see the contents of that drive. As we are looking to recover data, we first need to see if the user accidentally created and used any files or folders at the top level of the file structure. So at this level, we would expect to see the default folders created by Windows, which includes Applications, the Windows folder, Program Files x86, and Users. For any files or folders that are not default files or folders, we will need to check to see if they contain any user data. As the owner of this computer kept a very tidy file structure, if we open the user's folder, we can easily recover their data. Within the user's folder, we have all of the user profiles that were created on this computer. When we open one of the user profiles, we can access that user's data. Within each profile, we should see folders for Contacts, Desktop, Documents, Downloads, Favorites, Links, Music, Pictures, Saved Games, Searches, and Video. As this is all of the user data that we need to recover, if we copy the data from the hard drive in the enclosure to a location on the computer we are working from, then depending on the amount of data being recovered, we can transfer that data to a USB memory stick, an external USB hard drive, or a writable DVD disk. With the data recovery process completed, we can remove the hard drive from the USB enclosure and refit the hard drive to the non-working computer. We can then return the computer and the recovered data to its owner.